Bobby Chacon and New York Post columnist Miranda Devine. Thank you so much, each of you, for joining us tonight. Bobby, first to you. Your legal read, both of you have read the indictment. What's your reaction on the indictment?
Well, I was really shocked at how thin it was. I mean, I saw a lot of things that I would expect to see, but then I expected so much more depth. I expected the crime that was alleged to be covered up to be mentioned and described in detail. I mean, this is so light on it doesn't even actually charge a crime if you look at it, because if they leave out the crime that he's supposedly covering up with these false business records, then there's no crime. You have to specify that. I don't care if New York state law doesn't say you have to. I mean, that's a Supreme Court challenge on the federal level, and that statute will be considered too vague to be valid. So I think that I read it, and what shocked me was the lack of substance.
To what Bobby just said, what did you think, Miranda, when you read it?
Oh, look, I completely agree, and I think that people were expecting there was going to be some big surprise, and there wasn't. It's as flimsy as everybody suspected but couldn't quite believe. It just, to me, shows that the Democrats are reckless and ruthless and utterly unscrupulous. They will stop at nothing to destroy Donald Trump. They have been trying from the minute that he showed his face in politics, and they will continue. And I think it's a huge tragedy that Alvin Bragg has allowed his office and the state of New York, the city of Manhattan, to be used in this way. I just can't see it surviving, as a lot of lawyers have said.
Yeah.
But I think, in a week when Hunter Biden is down in Soho yucking it up, selling his paintings for a reported $500,000 each to buyers unknown, it just shows what the two-tiered justice system that we're existing under.
So, Bobby, when we're looking at this, the closest they come to the second federal criminal campaign violation, it's on page 619. It says that Michael Cohen says that Trump said they could delay the payment to Stormy Daniels until after the election and maybe avoid paying it altogether, because at that point, after he won, it wouldn't matter because he would have won the election, basically. I mean, so that's the most they have in the way of intent. But again, this is Michael Cohen's word for it. He is a convicted perjurer. So, Bobby, when you see the reasonable doubt coming into this case, and, motions to dismiss likely coming from the former president's side, when you see this case being brought, do you fear that what more and more prosecutors and lawmakers are also warning about, that this sets a very dangerous precedent for our democracy where the courts are being used as a political weapon? It's undermining the confidence of the American people in the legal system.
There's no doubt that that's what's being happened. I mean, Alvin Bragg's a progressive Democrat who ran on the platform of going after Donald Trump. That was a campaign promise. I mean, he made his office political even before he was elected. He told the people, I will make this a political prosecution. And remember, previously, Bragg was in the New York State Attorney General's office going after Trump on other things in the Trump organization. So I'm not surprised at this at all. And I think you're right. I think this is the new political landscape. I think this schedule of hearings set so far in the future. Now we're going to be into the next campaign, the next presidential campaign, by next year when these things are all playing out, these hearings are all playing out in court. Again, so I think this is, I think you'll have other progressive DAs throughout the country leveling charges against Trump. I think this is the new political landscape.
So Byron York's Miranda says that, basically DA Bragg is following through on his campaign promise to, quote, get Trump. But when you look at the case, again, we've talked to people prosecutors and lawyers who are no fans of Trump. And again, you take out the words Trump, you look at the facts of the case. I mean, we understand other networks are running with it, like, yeah, this is the get Trump moment. But we don't see this case being brought through to a federal criminal violations of campaign law. That's where it hangs on. That was the intent to defraud. And it's not proven out in the 30, unless he's got the documents, unless it's a he said. And by the way, Miranda, you and I have talked about this. Robert Costello, Michael Cohen's former legal advisor, said that he gave 321 emails that were exculpatory in favor of Donald Trump. They only took 6 of them. 315 were knocked out. On that basis alone, this could all be tossed.
Well, I mean, on so many bases, this could be tossed. You know, what is the felony? They haven't spelled that out. As you say, Michael Cohen, convicted perjurer, he's the star witness. It really is a travesty. I mean, it's an embarrassment for the United States on the world stage. You know, down at the courthouse, there were enormous numbers of media from every country in the world that has a media. I know this is playing huge in Australia and everywhere else. It's really damaging. It's giving the wrong impression. It is a joke of a prosecution. But we're seeing that this is going to be marching on into the election season. They're talking about a trial in January, in the middle of the primary season. And then there are other cases that are coming forward. So you're just going to see a rolling thunder approach of just bringing Trump down. And you saw from his demeanour and his face today, he's resolute. He's toughed it out before. He'll tough it out again.
Yeah, he's
but
got
this
the
has to be taking a toll, not least.
Yeah, he's got the classified documents and the Georgia election interference case, too. So what Miranda just said, Bobby, you know, former Attorney General William Barr and Andy McCarthy has said this could open a Pandora's box of political indictments against other elected officials, as well as their family members. So, you know, using the courts to settle political scores. That's what's really dangerous. And the other debate, too, is local DAs should not have the power to indict presidents unless they've got an airtight case and not just strung out on novel legal theories.
Well, and not just past president, somebody running for president currently. I think that's the danger here, is that there's a public interest in all of this, and one of the public interests is just having transparency. So, but there's another public interest, and it's the one you noted, that we can't have local prosecutors all over the country going after national candidates for president just because they're in the opposite party. Bragg made it clear he was. Bragg ran on that, and so that's the frightening part about this. Is not a murder case. This is somebody paying off somebody, which is not illegal, to keep quiet about an affair. Again, not illegal. And so this is a prosecution that's very flimsy, very thin, and the only time prosecutions like this should be brought when there's a serious crime and there's serious evidence of that crime.
It's just, so he says it's concealed criminal conduct to hide damaging information from the voters during the 2016 election. But again, in each of the 34 counts, he doesn't spell out what the second actual crime was and what the proof was that was the intent. Right? So they don't have, it doesn't sound like they have the documentary proof just yet. We haven't seen it yet for that second federal felony. Bobby Chacon, Miranda Devine, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Pleasure having you both on.
Thank you.